Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Silverstone circuit here in a town called, I believe it's Northamptonshire, here in the United Kingdom. Round number 4 of the Monkey Mafia Esports League. F1 season, the inaugural season hotspot on the call once again for you here. And it turns out, what did that say? I believe Lightwork having update issues now. It's not that big of an update. It did happen today with the addition of the F2 series for this new season. Once again, I tell you what, this track, Silverstone, definitely one of the most famous racetracks in the world, one of the most historic, and this is shaping up to be a very historic first season here in the Monkey Mafia Sports League. We've had one hell of a first 3 rounds here. I cannot believe some of the things that I have seen, and I'm hoping tonight's grid puts on even more of a show here in one of the world's best racetracks. That part is for sure. And I'm very much looking forward to it. It's a bright and sunny day. I tell you what, these last couple of rounds here have been rather plagued with rain. Definitely rain in Singapore. Rain last week in Austin, Texas, kind of about midway through the race. Actually, it wasn't even midway through the race. We started on the dry. Maybe a lap in, it started the rain. But we are here. 15 drivers at the moment on the grid. And let me just tell you right now, welcome to the grid, Monkey Mafia. He hasn't raced F1 in a very long time. He did say it says months. I don't know how. I don't know how like long necessarily months is in terms of being an F1 driver, but I'm telling you right now, if you step away from it like for any time whatsoever, you do definitely feel cold. And it takes a while to get built back up. There's no doubt, though, that Monkey Mafia would have practiced for tonight, and he's out there in his Williams, on his way on track, hoping that he can put together a very solid race for himself today. All eyes, however, in my opinion, are going to be on that Mercedes today in the Mercedes of Lancia the Dutchman himself. He's been in the Red Bull for... well, the season, really, so far, I've only seen him in a Red Bull to this point, and maybe that was some sort of superstition, perhaps, because he's in a Mercedes tonight. Currently, mind you, Lancia has won the first 3 rounds of the season, not necessarily always in commanding fashion. Last time out, it was a very close race for him. There was definitely times where you didn't necessarily think he was going to come away with it. But he actually did. While we have a minute here, let's go through the driver's standings. Lancia top, 98 points. Shariah in the Ferrari. 75, Fireballer in the Williams at 64. He's tied with Gab as well. That being in the McLaren at 64. Gab's teammate of Pingolo at 60, not far behind. Cynical in the Red Bull. 47, Gazboy in the Aston Martin at 46. Slayerized in the Alfa Romeo at 37. Reimer, 29. Mini, who... I believe is that in a Mercedes is Mini. Well, anyways, he's 26 Beamer, 25 Mazda guy, 18 A-Dub at 14, Edwin at 1, and unfortunately for Lightwork and Osmanian Devil, they have not managed to put points on the board. Monkey Mafia making his way through Stowe Corner at the moment, then into Vale, and eventually into Club. At the moment, let me get the track map up here, because as much as I think I remember the corner names, it's not always true. Down, this is the Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight, in towards, I believe it's Abbey Curve to start out here. These first couple of corners here looking pretty good. Heading in towards the loop now. Exit the loop here is going to be very tricky. You can build a lot of speed as you head down the Wellington Straight here. And then entering Brooklands and eventually into Luffield, and then exiting through to Woodcote. Exiting Woodcote, then down the National Pit Straight towards very famous Cops Corner. Famous for many reasons, I'm sure you could guess which ones. See, we'll go through that now in towards Maggots and Beckett's. This complex here has been, I don't want to say copied time and time again, but there's a lot of circuits that take inspiration from them. Circuit of the Americas being one of them, as we saw last week. Exiting Chapel down the Hangar Straight now. Remember, Silverstone was a circuit made out of a former military Air Force base through Stowe Corner. Now, this is always a fun one. That track limits on the outside, though, definitely creeps up on you. There's your pit entry to the right, in towards Vale and into Club now, and then once again back down the Hamilton Straight here. Gasboy at the moment, 126.455. Monkey Mafia, 128.866. Not bad for Monkey Mafia, considering how long he's been away from the seat, but I'm sure he'll be able to do more here. Gasboy at the moment, 126.455. Not bad at all. Definitely feel okay with that one. Fireballer on his way down the Hangar Straight now in towards Stowe. Handles it pretty nicely, I'd say. 180 miles an hour into the braking zone of Vale, and then into Club Corner, and then once again back down the Hamilton Straight. Looking a solid lap, 126.793. He's about 3.5 tenths off of Gasboy. Pretty solid lap there from Fireballer. But we do have the Mercedes of Mini, who's going to be coming through now. His teammate Alancy still hasn't put together a timed lap yet. Made it to the line, goes 5th. That's not going to be a lap to hold on to there, as he's 13 seconds off the pace. Next up, the Alfa Romeo of Slayer Eyes, making his way through Vale and then into Club. Looking like a solid lap here. He goes provisional pole, 126.313, 10th and a half better than Gasboy. And I tell you what, some very solid competition in the early goings here, as George Mazda will be next across the line of his counterpart Alfa Romeo. Across the line he goes. He's going to be well off the pace. Next up behind him is the Ferrari of EDA Got Palmer. Well, not EDA anymore, it's just Got Palmer, but it's a 126.179. Just about a 10th and a half better than Slayer Eyes. So at the moment, top three separated by just over a quarter of a second. Not bad at all. That's a good statistic to be had then. AlphaTauri up next of Osmanian Devil. Looks like he's going to be coming into the pits. It's not Pingolo behind him. It's the McLaren of Gab, who's on a outlap. And then I believe the Williams of... maybe the Alpine of Reimer. No, it's actually going to be... Well, who is that then? I don't know. Who is on their way? Is it Fireballers coming around the line now? Yeah, it must be. He's going to be coming through back into the pits here shortly. It looks like Beamer's going to be the next up behind him. Let's see if Beamer's got anything here. No, he's invalidated, but chooses to stay out on track, and it looks like he's going to be starting another one here. Looks like Mini, is he back on a timed lap? Yes, he is. He's making his way through Vale and into Club now. Although it has to be said, maybe a little bit sloppy. This is not going to be a lap to hold on to here. 129.415, definitely not for him. He's got a lot of time to fix it, though. Reimer about to start one now. Reimer's been one of those drivers that we've seen time and time again kind of be on the cusp of a good result and have it just not really happen. Last time out, I'm sure you could remember the absolute catastrophe that was himself and colliding with his teammate. When I tell you what, it was very much at least going to be one of them that was going to win that Grand Prix, and it ended up being neither of them, as their trip down the back straight resulted in both of them hitting the wall about head-on, going about 150 miles an hour, but not a race to remember, but Reimer has the ability to put together a new one here. Purple Sector 1 for him to start off as he heads into Brooklands and left field now. Next car on a time lap across the line is going to be Beamer. Then behind him, one of the McLarens on their way, and I believe we have the Aston Martin of Ray Ray coming out on track now as well. Reimer's done well to stay within track limits at Cops. Maggots and Beckett's now holds it quite well. Oh, he's going to go a little bit wide, getting into Chapel. I think he's lost time there, most likely. Purple Sector 2 for him, but I think he's capable of better. As into Stowe he goes. It looks like the Haas of Beamer's just gone P8, 2.5 seconds off. 1 second separate the top 5 at the moment. But as the McLaren of Gab crosses the line, he goes P6, 1.2. Not bad at all. Reimer across the line now. What does he have? And he has provisional pole, 126.113, and that puts him over Got Palmer by less than 7/100ths of a second. That is a very close margin to be had. Very, very nice to see. Next up to the line looks like it's going to be the other McLaren of Pingolo, who's on a time lap now, and currently, I believe that says a 10th and a half better through Sector 2. In towards Vale now. Does the first one nicely. Second one pretty good as well. Holds the throttle nicely as he goes through Club to the line as Pingolo. I don't believe he's going to... Well, he does improve. He improves by just about a 10th and a half, but not enough to really give it the beans in the leaderboards. We'll have to wait and see. I believe Ray Ray on his first time lap now. Let's go along with him. Very talented driver, Ray Ray. This, not to mention, he's fresh off of a LMP race that I partake in, but I left because my pedals were acting up, and also I'm bad anyways. Ray, very quick driver in that league, has to be said, and now he's trying to strut his stuff in F1 as he makes his way down the Wellington Straight in towards the corner of Brooklands and Luffield. No sign of the Mercedes of Lancey yet, as he remains in the pits here. I would believe we're about halfway through the first session. Yeah, just about. Yellow flags in every sector at the moment, but none to worry about. Although it looks like the McLaren of Pingolo or Gab, something's happened with him. No, he's just letting the Haas go by. Ray making his way through Maggots and Beckett's now. Actually looks to be on a pretty solid lap. I haven't noticed any mistakes. A little bit wide through Chapel that time. They're on the way into Chapel. Not bad at all, though, however. He's going to pick up some speed going down this Hanger Straight now in towards Stowe. I'm going to turn the telemetry back on. To the braking zone at Vale. He's about 180 on his way in. Not bad. On his way into Club now. He looks like he's going to be about a second off the pace here. For Ray, it's a 127.470. Yeah, about 1.3. Not a bad lap. He's got himself within the top 10, but not enough to, I think, really make an impact on the field. Fireballer, I believe, is he starting into the lap now? Yes, he is. Let's go along with Fireballer here. Not long ago was fighting for a provisional pole. Now finds himself P5 as he makes his way in towards Village in the Loop. Next across the line looks to be the Aston Martin Gazboy. I believe he's just started one. Osmanian Devil's gone P6 at the moment. The Alfa Romeo, I believe, was that of Slayer Eyes, just crossed the line and gone P3. Purple Sector 1 for Fireballer, 6/100ths of a second faster at the moment. Looks pretty solid. He's gone wide that time through Luffield. I wonder if he's just trying to carry more straight down towards the international pit straight here, or the national pit straight, rather. Sometimes you see drivers do that, but a lot of the times you see that wide line taken when they're trying to, get around the outside of a car. Usually in the race you'll see them stick pretty close to the apex through that corner, and he's gone too heavy into the way into the Maggots, and he's invalidated his attempt there. Only just got that one wrong. He's taken too much of the curb on the way in, and has gone all four tires off the track, and that lap is invalidated here. Still 6.5 minutes to go. I'm sure he'll have plenty of time to get back in the pits and put together a solid one, as the Red Bull of Cynical has gone P4, 126.318, 0.2 of a second faster, 0.2 of a second off the pace, about 2/100ths faster than Gazboy. I tell you what, very competitive top five at the moment. That top five separated by 2.5 tenths. Not bad whatsoever. Still, yet to see the Mercedes of Lancey. Who I'm not sure, does he have a qualifying ban or something? I'm not entirely sure. Nor have we seen Shariah Coleslaw on the lap yet. I think maybe sometimes just staying out of the way of the trouble, especially on a track like this where chaos is definitely possible. It is a fair strategy to be had, as Scott Palmer on his way in now, who somehow isn't going to speed into the pit lane. Very nicely done. He had invalidated his previous attempt there. Osmanian Devils, I guess he's just trying to recharge his battery. As you can see, about 92%. No worry for fuel at the moment. He's got the Mercedes of Mini on an outlap coming through here. Mini at the moment, 3.3 off the pace. Hasn't yet, I think, really put together a solid lap. He's had a couple of mistake laps and, one or two of just trying to get a time on the board, and that's kind of where he's at right now. Osmanian Devil, I'm interested to see where this lap is going to come from as he exits Club Corner down the Hamilton Straight now. He's in the slipstream of the Mini, of, the Mercedes of Mini himself. We'll see if he interrupts the lap here of Osmanian Devil. At the moment, he's still a little bit ways ahead. I'm just worried about the braking zone, because now, as you can see, and there it goes. I think Mini has perhaps gone wide on mistake, and then it's affected Osmanian Devil, because now he's tried to get down to the inside, and yeah, I think Osmanian Devil's going to be wishing he had that one back, and he's going to be wishing the Mercedes wasn't in the way, because I definitely think he hasn't helped them there. Two McLarens on the outlaps now. Gab is going to be the first one to start. His teammate Pingolo sits one position higher than him, about 0.4 of a second to the better. Not bad. And I tell you what, the two McLarens, I believe, are going to be a solid showing here. Speaking of the two McLarens, let's check in on our constructor standings. We haven't done that yet. At the moment, that McLaren team does lead the standings 124 to Aston Martin's 78. They lead Ferrari by 3 at 75 for third place. Williams in fourth leads Alpine by 2 at 64. Haas in P6 at 57, only 2 points ahead of Alfa Romeo. At 55, Red Bull 48, Mercedes 40. AlphaTauri still has yet to score a point this season. Osmanian Devil is in a pretty solid spot to make that happen. I would assume Osmanian Devil may just have himself a good race here. He'll have to really give it his best, as Lancey, we're looking at now, on an out lap. And he's going through, what is this, Brooklands at the moment. He's waited probably as long as he can to this point. We're going to have to wait and see what he's going to be capable of here. This is going to be, I believe, a lap to look out for. We got 3.5 minutes remaining here. Gab is on his way down the hangar straight at the moment into Stowe, and is looking like he's having a pretty solid lap so far. A little hesitant to get on the throttle there, going through Club. To the line he goes P6, 126, 667. A lot of sixes in that. He moves within 0.6 of a second of the provisional pole sitter of Reimer, who sits in the pits with 2 minutes and 53 to go. Slayer Eyes on an out lap. He's making his way through Luffield at the moment. Eyes, though, is going to be on the Mercedes of Lancey as he makes his way into Vale now. This is definitely going to be something to look out for, that's for sure. As he exits Club Corner, down it towards the Hamilton Straight and into the first curve of Abbey. Then eventually Farm Curve in the Village and the Loop. Looking like a pretty solid lap so far for the Mercedes. I tell you what, it seems odd to have a Red Bull livery helmet in the Mercedes. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle there on exit of the Loop. Through entry onto the Wellington Straight. Looking okay. What's he hitting for straight line speed? He's going to be about 205 on the way into the braking zone for Brooklands. Purple Sector 1 for him so far. 2 minutes to go in the session. And it looks like Gott Palmer and Slayer Eyes also on outlaps. Reimer still sits in the pits down the, whatever straight this is now, on his way into Cops Corner. Looking pretty well. I think he's taken it wide, but he's carried some nice speed, about 180 miles an hour at the apex. Not bad at all. Through Maggots and Beckett's now. How does it come up here for the driver who currently has won every race in the entirety of the Monkey Mafia Esports Series? Out of Chapel Curve, he goes 102.513. This is looking a very good lap from Lancey so far. Is it worthy of pole is going to be my question as he makes his way into Stowe. Oh, the back end's gotten away from him, and that's it. I don't believe he's going to have another... I don't think he's got enough time for another attempt here. Lancey's played it way too close to the end. And the back end of the car has gotten away from him going through Stowe. And Lancey, I think he's going to have to sit P16. Well, a driver who I really think was going to be on pace to take pole, with 55 seconds to go in the session after that spin, Lancey, I believe, he's just going to be looking to get a time on the board. But P16, well, it's going to be P15. Shariah hasn't set a lap yet. P15 for Lancey. To the line now goes the Aston Martin of Ray Ray, who's going to be starting one here. Behind him is the Ferrari of Gott Palmer. And it looks like the Mercedes of Mini's on his way in. Behind him looks like it's the Alpine of Reimer. We're going to go along with the... what do we have out ahead here? I believe we have the McLaren of Pingolo is out furthest. Although, no, yeah, I guess he's on the time lap here. 3/100ths of a second faster through Sector 1. Not really going to be enough to make waves on the timing charts. Currently sits, what is that, 11/100ths of a second behind his teammate. No, more like 19. Yeah, 19/100ths of a second behind, 19/1000ths of a second behind his teammate. So the provisional top three at the moment, Reimer, Gott Palmer, and Slayer Eyes, have started their final attempts. Next up to the line here is going to be Monkey Mafia, who's going to call it quits in the day, and he's going to settle for P14. Unless perhaps does Lancey have a better time than Monkey Mafia here is on the way now is Pingolo through Stowe on low fuel. Looking a pretty solid lap so far. Next up behind him is the Aston Martin of Ray Ray. And then behind him, the Ferrari of Gott Palmer. It looks like Mini does beat out Monkey Mafia. To the line goes Pingolo. All he can manage is P6. Aston Martin of Ray Ray coming up to the line now, but we're along with Gott Palmer, who's making his way through Club Corner. It looks like Ray Ray, all he can manage is P11. Gott Palmer has provisional pole by half a second or more. Behind him, who was the provisional pole sitter up to this point, making his way through Club Corner now. This is going to be a close one to the line. Reimer does go faster by only 14 one-thousandths of a second. And, well, it was a qualifying session that, for the most part, looked like it was quite far apart from everyone else. Well, actually quite close among, especially the top five. Gott Palmer has put 6.5 tenths back to Reimer, and the Ferrari at Gott Palmer is going to be starting this race on pole position. So your starting grid then for the British Grand Prix in the Monkey Mafia Esports League. It's Gott Palmer on pole by 6.5 tenths. Reimer had a really good session up until the death there. He'll start second. Slayer Eyes third. Fourth is Cynical. Fifth is Gazboy. The top five separated by less than a second. It's Pingolo sixth. Gavin seventh, his teammate. Eighth Fireballer. Ninth Lancy. 10th is Osmanian Devil. 11th is Ray Ray. 12th is Mazda Guy. 13th Beamer. 14th Mini. 15th Monkey Mafia, 16th Jiraiya Coleslaw. We've just seen Lightwork. He's joined the session as well. But the big story is Lancy did not have that good of a qualifying session there. Waited until the last minute, was on a lap for pole. And the back end of the car got away from him in stow. So it's Gott Palmer on pole. But I think he's going to have quite the time off the line here. So a rather bright and sunny day here in Silverstone. It's a site we really haven't seen that much in the Monkey Mafia Esports Series, Esports League. I don't know what to call this, but 2 out of the 3 rounds we've had previous have been affected by rain. That being Singapore was rain for a decent bit of it, and Coda last week, the early goings was really tormented by rain, and it ended up being a majority dry race, as it looks like Lightwork is having difficulties entering his car. Looks like Ray Ray's internet has crapped out. As I just read the Discord here. Again, the big story is going to be Lancy in the dead middle of the pack here after the qualifying session that, well, at least for his standards, will be definitely below expectations. It's going to be very difficult to see because naturally in this track, very fast circuit, not really many heavy braking zones. Definitely no lack of definitely no lack of potential for incident here. quick little look ahead at the rest of the schedule here. Do have a pretty solid schedule, that part's for sure. Obviously, Monza, Singapore, and Austin to start out the series. Silverstone today. Australia, the recently reformed, resurfaced Australia circuit. A lot of fun. For round 5, Spain, minus the chicane at round 6. Abu Dhabi, round 7. That's a new layout for Abu Dhabi. Has been a lot of fun, that part's for sure. Bahrain, everybody's kind of favorite track, although they're afraid to say so. For round 8, Brazil. Round 9, Monaco. Round 10, that's going to be a fun one. Monaco and Jeddah back-to-back seems like hell to me, but that one might be fun. Looks like formation lap going to be underway here. Austria for round 12, Qatar round 13, Netherlands round 14, rounding out the season here. Round 15 is that of Imola on January the 8th. Tell you what, pretty solid schedule, very nicely mixed up. Got Palmer. Pole sitter here. Reimer, I think, is going to be to the inside on this opening stint. Top 5 on mediums, 6 and 7, both of McLaren's. Conflicting strategies, perhaps. That's going to be interesting to watch both of them on the hards. 8, 9, and 10, Fireballer, Lancia, Osmanian Devil, all on mediums. Everybody else, barring that of Monkey Mafia, on the hards. Monkey's actually chosen the softs off the line here. Another rather high degradation track. It's interesting to see that he's taken the mediums. I think everybody that's taken the mediums... let's take the softs. I think everybody that's taken the mediums here, I think, is in a good spot off the start. But if the safety car happens, everybody on the hards is going to be... well, actually, sorry, I got that flipped around. I think everybody on the hards is probably going to be at a disadvantage if the safety car comes out. I think starting on the mediums should have been the best choice here, because naturally it'll be a quick stop for anybody in the top 5, and then obviously Fireballer, Lancia, and Osmanian. They're going to have it pretty easy. Clouds in sight for sure, nothing looking threatening of rain at the moment, though, of course, however, I do tend to speak too soon on that sort of thing time and time again. So, got Palmer here. We'll line up first on the grid. Reimer follows suit in second. Slayerized third. Cynical fourth. And Gasboy fifth. Remember, the top 5 separated by less than a second, about 8.5 tenths of a second. Reimer, I think, had a really good shout for pole, and then at the death, his final attempt was Got Palmer had taken it. And Reimer was really not able to, he wasn't really able to improve. 14 and 19 is when we're going to see the stop, especially for those drivers on the hards. Going to the race there. Not really any good camera angles here of the lights. That part's true. But that's a good one. Yeah, look at that. That took us 6 different drivers to find a, find a camera angle that was going to give us a good shot off the start here. So, 4th round of the Monkey Mafia Esports League about to be underway here in Silverstone. We have 3, 4, and eventually 5 lights. And they are off here in Silverstone. Reimer to the inside, I think, is going to have the best line here. He cuts over right quick, trying to get in the way of Got Palmer, and I think it's worked, as I think, yeah, Reimer's got the inside, but Got Palmer around the outside has more grip and more speed and is able to defend his pole spot there. Around the outside is looking Slayerized. As we look behind the Aston Martin there of Lancia and Ray Ray battling it out. Got Palmer out to an early lead here. Reimer under pressure from Slayerized. Slayerized and Cynical side by side here as they make their way through Aintree, and then down the Wellington Straight now. The Alfa Romeo Slayerized might be in a bit of trouble here. He's now only just tagging back into the slipstream, and now he's been overtaken by the Aston Martin of Gasboy as well as the Williams of Fireballer. Something's happened with Slayerized off the start. It's not been very kind to him. It looks like the Haas of Beamer was the result of the early accident then. As it looks now, Fireballer down to the inside of Gasboy in the Cop's corner. Not usually the best corner to go side-by-side in. I'm sure Max Verstappen would definitely agree with you on that. At the moment, everything stayed calm as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's and eventually Chapel. As we see Fireballer, I tell you what, Gasboy's gone quite wide through Beckett's. On exit of Chapel, Fireballer's going to have a big advantage on speed here. And he's going to get around the left-hand side, and yeah, he's done that one quite easily, it has to be said. got Palmer's off to a good start here. He's not totally out of the woods yet. Reimer and Cynical not all that far behind. As it looks like, yeah, lap 14 to 19 is where we're going to see that stop. It looks like Pingolo and Osmanian Devil side by side through here through Vale. Osmanian trying to go around the outside then through Club. I tell you what, he's done quite well. A lot of contact there, but somehow everything's going to stay all right. More contact as they go through Abbey. Osmanian's going to have to go wide. He's going to cut a lot of the corner there. But I think due to contact, that one may be okay. He's definitely going to have received a warning for track limits. But I tell you what, I think I understand. He was side by side with Pingolo. Nothing really more he could have done to stay on track. As it looks like the grid, mostly single file here, as they make their way into Brooklands and Luffield for the second time. Oh, Lancey's nearly gotten into the rear end of Pingolo then. That has gotten really close. It's 3/10 of a second between these two. And Lancey is hungry to try to improve positions. He's not really done so off the start. In fact, if we look at positions gained, has not moved whatsoever. Biggest mover so far is that of Fireballer and Williams, up 4 since the initial start. Osmanian Devil up 3. Of course, he kind of overtook Pingolo off track. The stewards, I'm thinking, will have a look at that one if it matters at the end. Lancey's going to have the straight line speed advantage here to the right side of Pingolo, and he's going to have that one rather easily, even without the use of DRS. That'll be available next time by. Looks like both Mini and Shariah have gone into the pits for some reason. Was it just pure front wing damage that's resulted in the pit stop for both of those two? That's kind of what I'm thinking. They've really not had any reason otherwise to do so. Oh, and it looks like Beamer's retired. Virtual safety car on track. This is going out of Stowe. Exiting Stowe corner well before the pit lane. It's only a virtual safety car for now, thankfully. But he's lost the car on exit, very similar to what Lancey did in qualifying, except Lancey didn't hit anything. Beamer has. Virtual safety car still out on track. That's going to neutralize the field. Third lap of the Grand Prix here. Got Palmer and Reimer have held steady in the first 2 spots. Slayerized is down 3. He did not have a very good start to the Grand Prix. Cynical up 1, Fireballer up 4. Definitely got to be looking out for Fireballer and Reimer here. 2 drivers hungry for a good result. They've been on the cusp of it a couple of times now. So we'll have to wait and see if they're able to put one together here. Still under virtual safety car. I'm assuming it's going to be ending any moment now. Looks like Lightwork was not able to get into his car, and he's unfortunately had to leave the session. Virtual safety car still hasn't ended yet, according to my screen. And there it is, DRS enabled. So that time, they've gone under VSC for pretty much the entirety of the lap, and DRS was not a factor, as it looks like Lancey's gotten around Osmanian Devil, and the 2 McLarens inverting positions here. In fact, it's Pingolo on his way into the pits. Once again, the McLaren started on actually similar strategies, both starting on the hard tires. I think that one was going to be a conflict of interest for both drivers. Osmanian looks as if he's struggling with understeer at the moment. He's kind of pushed wide through Abbey. Not necessarily in position to pressure Lancey, and definitely not now. The back end of the car has gotten away from him as he goes through the loop. And now he's going to be under pressure from the McLaren of Gab. As we look up the grid, Gazboy trying to find the right side of Fireballer is through Brooklands and Luffield now. As you can see, this is what I was talking about before. Drivers taking the apex of Luffield very shallow, as opposed to in the qualifying where we saw Fireballer run quite wide to try and build speed. 3-car battle here for the 8th spot. Osmanian Devil leads Gab by 2.5 tenths, who leads George Mazda guy by only about 3 tenths. So a couple of very close cars in position here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's actually... No, it was George Mazda guy. I was right. But with the addition of DRS now, we'll see if Gazboy is able to overtake Fireballer here. Fireballer actually falling quite far behind Cynical, about a second now, as they make their way into Stowe. Fireballer start on the hards. No, he didn't. In fact, everybody in the top 7, all the drivers who started on the mediums have migrated to the top 7 spots. As Gasboy a little hesitant getting on the throttle there. It looks like the Mercedes of Mini back in the pits. Gasboy within 0.2 of a second of Fireballer here as they make their way in towards Village Corner now. He's almost gone straight into the back of the Williams. Has somehow managed to keep off the diffuser or the rear wing. Exiting Aintree down the Wellington Straight. We'll have to wait and see. DRS activated. Fireballer does not have DRS ahead to Cynical, and that's going to be one of the easier overtakes that Gasboy has to make. Fireballer losing the spot there. Still in position. I think Fireballer, is he maybe just conserving, or is he kind of struggling with the circuit? A driver who's gone up 3 positions would tell me in the early goings he was not struggling. Is he now? That's going to be the question that he's going to need to have answered here. Now, Reimer, despite starting second and almost having a look for the lead of the race through the first couple of corners, he's actually doing well to keep within about 0.6 of a second of Gott Palmer here. Despite having DRS, he's not necessarily making up all that much ground. Gott Palmer, I think, really does have a good amount of pace in that Ferrari. As they go down the Hangar Straight now. Closing in now within 0.4 of a second. Still not really close enough to make anything happen. Although, could he get him into the braking zone of Vale? We've seen that before. But it looks like he's going to take it easily for now, as we do see Osmanian Devil and George Mazdaguy were, I believe, side by side for a short period of time there. Osmanian Devil was able to hold off the charge from the oncoming Alfa Romeo. Neat little pack of cars here amongst this top 7, then it's about a 4-second gap back to Gab, who I'm kind of wondering why Gab has fallen this far behind. Obviously, Lancey's a very quick driver, but, you know, is that just a case of losing out on DRS and it being all over from there? Could very well be the case. Lancey is going to have a move at Slayerized here. Slayerized is not going to have DRS to Fireballer ahead. And Fireballer still doesn't have it to Gasboy. So Lancey, very easy overtake for him there. He's not that far away from the top 5 now after starting P9. As it looks like George Mazdaguy has gotten past Osmanian Devil in towards Brooklands. And now, Osmanian Devil's gone clean into the Alfa Romeo there. It's going to allow Ray to get 2 free spots. Front wing littered the corner through Luffield. I'm hoping none of the drivers behind run over any debris. Well, 0.2 of a second here between Gott Palmer and Reimer. Slayerized has just picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. I'm assuming that's going through Maggots and Beckett's. DRS activated for Reimer. He goes down the inside, and he's going to have that one quite easily. 12 miles an hour of speed advantage when you do have DRS, and Reimer back on top of the grid here, and this is going to be his first lap led since last week at Coda, when the unthinkable happened between himself and a teammate. That's a moment he's never going to live down, I don't think. But for the moment, he's got the lead of the Grand Prix, and he's under pressure from Cynical quite heavily as they make their way through Abbey and Farm Curve and into Village. Once again, I'm wondering what happened between Osmanian Devil and George Mazdaguy to result in Osmanian Devil go clean into the back of the Alfa Romeo. He's hurt himself, really. The Alfa Romeo stayed out on track. Still not what you wanted to see. And look at Reimer trying to break the toe. Down to the inside is looking for Gott Palmer. Gasboy actually in pursuit as well. The top 4 here within, I'd say about 3/4 of a second. Yeah, just about. Gasboy is about 1.2 behind. Still very good battle here amongst the top 4. Very clean racing, very collective. Collected, I think is the word I'm looking for there. It looks like Gasboy might be the only one struggling out of this top 4. Not really in position to battle with any of the top 3 at the moment, although being at the tail end of this DRS train might have an advantage. 0.2 of a second between Gott Palmer and Reimer exiting Chapel. Down the Hangar Straight now. We'll have to wait and see. Does Cynical have anything for him here? No, he's going to have to hold position. Although Cynical... Oh, the back end's really gotten away from Cynical, and Gaz had a similar problem. Nearly lost his Aston Martin as well, as Cynical nearly losing his Red Bull. We're seeing that corner claim a lot of speed so far here today. Remember, Lancey did it in qualifying. Beamer Blunt, I believe that's the location of his crash that took him out of the Grand Prix, and we just saw Cynical have a moment, as well as Gasboy, both able to hold on. That has now closed the gap from Lancey back to the top 4 to 2.5 seconds. It was about 3.3 before that happened, and now Lancey could be on his way to So getting back towards the podium place. Remember, he started 9th after having an abysmal qualifying session for his standards. 0.2 of a second here, and Gasboy's caught back up to Cynical as well. Let's see, Gasboy's going to try to take the exit wide, although he's kind of cut off by track limits. It's less than 0.2 of a second between these two for the 3rd spot as they make their way into Cops. Well, I tell you what, the Ferrari and the Red Bull have run wide that time, but they've extended track limits enough, at least the Ferrari, to not pick up a penalty. Although in doing that, he's lost time to Reimer ahead, and now Gasboy's going to have, I think, an advantage here on Cynical. Down the hangar straight they go. You can see Lancey the Dutchman in the background trying to get his way into this picture here, but at this moment in time, it looks as if Gasboy really has Cynical on the ropes now, as Reimer has gotten outside of a second of Gott Palmer for the first time so far this race. 0.3 of a second the gap. Gasboy, I think, is really going to have to wait for DRS to make that move happen. There's just not many overtaking spots before that first DRS zone. In towards Village in the loop now. Whoever gets the most straight line speed on exit to Aintree is going to be the one who makes the overtake. Looks like Gasboy kind of struggled getting on throttle. Cynical's back within DRS range on the Ferrari. That's really going to help his efforts in trying to stay ahead, as it looks like Osmanian Devils picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Looks like his Mini had an incident there. Either him or Pingolo has temporarily gone off track. Still the battle here amongst the top 4, and Lancey now almost within a second and a half. Remember, just a couple of laps ago was outside of 3 seconds. And with this battling going on, a very crucial player has now entered the proceedings here. We'll have to wait and see. Looks like Cynical still had, was at least within that second to Gott Palmer at the detection zone. He's outside of the second, or was temporarily, which just a couple of seconds later was really going to help Gasboy, but as it turns out, the Red Bull did have DRS, and Gasboy still unable to make the move. And we are about to have a 5-driver battle for the lead of the race here. I'm really liking the pace by Reimer at the moment. He's fast enough to keep Gott Palmer at bay, and Gott Palmer really doing his best to try to force Reimer's hand here, give it everything he's got. And at the moment, he's forced his way back within 0.4 of a second. This is getting really dicey here between these two. I think we could see a lead change here shortly. Let's see if Gott Palmer has what it takes. 0.5 of a second the gap. Yeah, he's not going to be close enough this time, but I tell you what, maybe in the coming laps he'll be able to. Lancey's still outside of 1.3. He is closing, however. There goes Gasboy looking to the inside of Cynical. Cynical wanted to make sure he defended the outside, and he's done that. But in doing that, I think he's lost a couple of tenths to Gott Palmer. And speaking of Gott Palmer, right up against the rear wing of Reimer here, as exiting Cox into Maggots and Beckett's. Gott Palmer, I think, if he holds it cleanly and he gets better acceleration out of Chapel, I think we're going to see the change for the lead here. Let's see, Gott Palmer's gone slightly more wide. That's going to hurt him. Reimer's going to switch to the inside, forcing Gott Palmer down to the inside, which is a good move in thought. And Reimer's going to stay ahead. Now does Gott Palmer try to get down to the inside in towards Vale? That would have been a risky maneuver if he did. He's going to choose not to this time. And oh, by the way, Lancey now within DRS range on Gasboy. 5-car battle for the lead here. 1/4 of a second separates the top two. Reimer's done well to get around Gott Palmer. And Gott Palmer doing well to stay within position. Less than 0.2 of a second. It's getting very close here. As Gasboy doing that same on Cynical, he's going to try to go around the outside. Maybe the different line through Aintree is going to help him with straight line speed with acceleration. All this is allowing is Lancey to catch up to this battle here. Gott Palmer had a look down to the inside of Reimer. Not really close enough to make anything happen, as it looks like Osmanian Devil getting around Shariah, going down the hangar straight. Gasboy's gone wide. He's gotten into the gravel then. It's 0.2 of a second between the top two. Lancey's entered himself in the battle. Reimer Palmer wanted to go down the inside. He thought better of it. He's going to track extend on the exit of Copse. I think that's got to be a second warning this time. 0.3 of a second the gap. Oh, I think Reimer's going to be better going out of Chapel. Yes, he is. I'm interested to see if Lancey's going to be able to do anything here. He's still far behind. Looks like behind it looks like Fireballer and Slayer Eyes might be battling for that sixth spot. Although, mind you, Slayer Eyes has a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Gasboy's going to go deep in the braking zone. Nearly goes straight into the back of the Red Bull. Somehow was able to get the car back down in time. That would have been very, very costly indeed if he did hit Cynical. And I tell you what, Cynical would have been, well, cynical of Gasboy if he did do that. Lancey has now, I would say, officially entered this battle. Heavy over the inside curb going through Village. As Gasboy again tries to round off the corner to get better acceleration, but it doesn't necessarily work for him. He's kind of within position, but not really, to get past Cynical here. I don't think Lancey's gotten good acceleration out of entry. He's kind of fallen behind this battle just a little bit. As down to the inside looks Gasboy, as Cynical goes wide through Luffield, going through Woodcote now towards Copse. Oh, look at this. Gasboy, oh, I tell you what, I thought he was going to go down to the inside. He thought better of it. Definitely had a look there. Cynical falling back behind the top two here. Gasboy doing really well to put the pressure, but still is unable to make any sort of attempt. There was a little bit of a snap there as Fireballer getting around Slayer Eyes is ahead. Got Palmer. I think may have a move this time. No. Got really close indeed. Not yet. Gasboy right up against the tail of Cynical here, but still unable as the top three pit. Lancey and Gasboy stay out. 12 laps was their limit for the mediums as the top three enter the pit lane. They're not going to lose that many spots. Slayer Eyes and Fireballer follow suit as well, and I believe is Gab and Ray Ray going to go in as well? No. So Gab and Ray Ray stay out. And it looks like hard tires for Reimer, hard tires for Palmer, predictably hard tires for Cynical, mediums to hards for Slayer Eyes. So that'll promote Ray Ray to the 4th spot, Gasboy to the lead, Lancey to 2nd. Lancey, I think, might be slightly struggling. 0.7 of a second here. Was within about 0.3 not long ago. I'm just wondering where he's lost that time. So that means Gab has taken the 3rd spot. Ray Ray's taken P4. Reimer's come out ahead of Got Palmer in P5. At the moment, though, I tell you what, if we look at the gap from leader on back, it is about 28 seconds from Gasboy back to Reimer. Are these two out ahead enough to perhaps stay in the lead? Well, Lancey's going to go around the left side of Gasboy here. It's not going to have any difficulty now that DRS is in play, and Gasboy was going to be at the disadvantage as far as that one is concerned. Lancey on his way in. Gasboy will follow suit on their way into the pit lane. Yes, Gab is going to be next up. And then 27 seconds. Reimer now going down down the hangar straight. Ray Ray and Gab stay out again. Gasboy pits is able, I think. Oh, this is going to be close here. They still have quite a ways. This is a very long pit lane. Ray Ray is going to inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. Gab is going to take 2nd. But the big question is Reimer. Is he going to be able to get out ahead of Lancey and Gasboy? I'm thinking they will. Yes, Reimer will. I don't think Got Palmer will. Got Palmer's going to be side by side with Lancey as he exits the pit lane. Lancey's still on the, I would believe, cold medium tires. Palmer's going to have an advantage here, but only just and only for now. Definitely contact being made. And Lancey, well, I didn't see anything wrong with the overtake there. I think it was more or less Got Palmer kind of got into Lancey there. But Lancey has improved about 3 spots in simply being able to have good lap times. And I think he's really going to inherit 2nd place when we get back to it, although Gasboy's still kind of in this battle as well, although he's slightly farther behind than Gott Palmer. I'd say about a second. Gott Palmer's gone wide again. Rejoins the track, still behind Lancey as they go through Maggots and Beckett's. About halfway through the Grand Prix now. And we'll have to wait and see. Is Gott Palmer going to have DRS here on Lancey? Yes, he will. Reimer's not going to have DRS to anybody. But Reimer, I don't think, in position yet to lose the spot. Ray and Gab stay out again. Once again, if Lancey overtakes Reimer here, he will essentially inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. Oh, but I tell you what, Lancey's gotten loose. He's losing the car. That's going to open the door for Gott Palmer, who, unfortunately for him, I don't think really had a move to overtake the Mercedes, because he kind of lost it right in the line of the Ferrari. But I tell you what, Lancey looks like he's struggling with his car. Mazda guy's on his way in. It looks like, yep, he's going to be the only one. But Reimer, I think, may have bought himself some time with the mistakes made by the Mercedes of Lancey as they exit Aintree now down the Wellington Straight. Lancey had a peek down to the inside. Not really anything he could have done. Gab's still within a second of Ray here. Mini's like fourth stop. Yeah, third stop for Mini. So Lancey within 0.3 of a second here of what will be the eventual race leader once the top two come in. Gott Palmer, however, really pressuring Lancey here, and I think maybe is he just going to focus on corner exit of Chapel, and that's going to allow him to get the better exit speed and therefore a better time with DRS. Well, Lancey has DRS ahead. Reimer's going to move down to the left side of the circuit. Lancey's going to try to stick it out to the right side. Palmer wanted to have the outside of the corner, didn't quite have enough room to get it. Gasboy all the way, and there goes the penalty for Palmer. We knew that was going to be happening. He's kind of been struggling to keep it within track limits, and I'm afraid that was only a matter of time. We saw him go wide through cops several times. Only now picks up the penalty. So Gasboy in this battle has made up about a tenth, maybe a tenth and a half back to Palmer, as Palmer is going to be stacked up behind Lancey. Oh, Gasboy goes deep in the corner. He's going to look for it. Once again, tries to go wide through the loop in hopes of getting better straight line speed through Aintree and then in towards the Wellington Straight here. But he refuses to upshift quickly enough, I think, to get that speed, as Lancey wanted to have a peek down to the inside of Reimer. Didn't have any real ability to make it happen, as Cynical now enters this battle as well. Lancey's gone wide through Luffield, and that may have opened the door for Palmer, but it was shut quite quickly. And then Gasboy nearly had a look at Palmer. Didn't quite happen. So a very intense battle here, as Gasboy, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, now the second driver out of what will eventually be the top 5 to pick up a penalty here. Not what you needed to see. However, that doesn't mean the racing is going to be any less, because as you can tell, they are still going for it, and there's still a lot of race left, and I believe there are going to be quite a few positions sorted out via penalty. In fact, if we go and look at that now, speaking of which, the top 9 drivers all on hards, as now finally Ray and Gab are on their way in. Gasboy nearly went into the back of the Ferrari then. Somehow that wasn't the case. Mazda guys picked up 3 seconds, so that will mean Reimer will re-inherit the lead. Lancey behind by 0.4. Palmer with 3 seconds of penalty, only 0.3 behind Lancey. Gasboy with 3 seconds of penalty, 0.5 behind behind Palmer. And Cynical, 0.5 of a second behind Gasboy. This is a very, very good battle here. And we'll have to wait and see. Lancey, although I do believe has a solid amount of straight line speed, is not going to have it this time down the Wellington Straight. He's going to have to wait for the Hangar Straight, which is quite a bit larger as well. And therefore the DRS usage will be more profound, or not the usage, but the advantage. Reimer doing his best to hold on here, although I'm thinking maybe is the pressure going to get to Reimer, he's going to really... He's got a complicated job here, because Lancey at the moment has looked quite perfect recently. He's had some mistakes, but not in the recent laps. Is it going to be DRS that fails Reimer here, or is it going to be penalties that get in his way? That's going to be the question, is Lancey with DRS yet again. Although I tell you what, got Palmer really getting towards Lancey here. He's going to look for around the outside. Lancey tucks low to try to have a look at Reimer. And it looks like Palmer wasn't able to have anything there. Gasboy nearly had a move on Palmer on his inside, but nothing happens. I tell you what, Gasboy's gone wide then through Vale. That almost opened the door for Cynical, not quite. And all the while, Lancey's fallen back behind, back to 0.5 of a second behind Reimer. It looks like Fireball are getting around Slayer Eyes as they make their way through Club. 0.2 of a second, Palmer trying his best, really trying to wear down Lancey. Lancey knows that as much as he's pressuring Reimer ahead, he's also under pressure from the 3 drivers behind him. So I'm thinking, at what point does Lancey switch from offense to defense here? That's going to be, I think, a huge question he's going to have to ask himself. Because the more he tries to play offense here, the more he wears out his tires, and the more difficult time he's going to have at the end of the run. So only the one virtual safety car to be had so far today. Oh, got Palmer's gone wide then through Cops. That may open the door for Gasboy. He's held the line a lot better. Both drivers on 3 seconds of penalties. It's a 1/4 of a second between the top 2. Palmer really on the back of Lancey here. If he gets a better exit at Chapel, I fully expect Palmer to have the spot, although he doesn't. And now Lancey, is he going to be able to look at Reimer here? No, I don't think he will. Not yet, at least. Still 0.3 of a second here. The top 5 separated by less than 1.5 seconds. All the while, Cynical, I think, is being slightly too quiet here. Hasn't really made any solid attempts at Gasboy as Monkey Mafia picks up 3 seconds. 0.2 of a second between Lancey and Reimer still. Again, it has to be said, Cynical being slightly quiet in this battle, hasn't really made too much noise and hasn't made too many, real attempts at the position. And again, it looks like he's slightly slower on exit. As it looks now, is Gasboy going to have a move at Palmer? No, not quite. Palmer doing his best, looking to the inside of Lancey through left field, nothing there. As they make their way down the national pit straight, Reimer still has the lead. Lancey follows suit in seconds. I'm just wondering which driver is going to pick up the penalty first, because Lancey's looked rather on rails, it has to be said. But you do have to push the boundaries as much as you can in order to get the speed, and he's... Well, I tell you what, he's going to have a much better exit of Chapel that time. But again, Reimer does well to break the toe. And Lancey's still not really in position to make that move happen. I tell you what, is this just Lancey trying to size up his opponent here? Make the move when he has to, not now when he wants to. That's going to be the big thing. This is if Lancey does win the race today, it will be one hell of a display of his discipline, because he's had, I think, a couple good opportunities. But I think he's playing the mental game now, just trying to wear Reimer down. If Reimer makes a mistake, not only would he lose the lead, he'd lose another 4 spots on top of that. As Palmer was close to Lancey then. Cynical, again, not really in position to get a good enough exit and try to hunt down Gasboy. Lancey, again, was looking to the inside, kind of, but not really enough. Gasboy's gone really deep then into Brooklyn's, and that has opened the door for Cynical, and Cynical goes down to the inside, and that'll be the easiest move of the race he's had to make. On pure error from Gasboy, unfortunately for him, because he's had a great day so far. Well, this is a close one here. Lancey's going to be looking for it. Through Cops they go, and you could tell Lancey really wants this spot. But it's going to be a matter of how, how he is going to be able to take it. Lancey wants to earn this spot. He doesn't want to wait for Reimer to make a mistake, although it has to be said, if he continues to wear down the Alpine, I don't think a mistake is going to be out of the question. This time still doesn't really have the straight line speed in the slipstream to get around the Alpine. In fact, he's really more or less opened the door for Palmer than he has tried to overtake the Alpine. I think if Palmer overtakes Lancey here, that's going to be a huge detrimental to him, because despite Palmer having 3 seconds of penalties, he's a quick driver right now. He's going to be one hell of a task to get around. We have 6 laps to go. Cynical now, still about a 1.5 seconds behind. Gasboy's fallen kind of behind this battle. Lancey, 0.3 seconds, still doesn't really put all the much pressure on, although I think this time he's going to go for it. Oh, and I think he's just about 100 meters shy of being able to make the maneuver. If he's able to get a good enough go through Sector 2 here, I fully expect him to have it this time going down the hangar straight, because it looks like Reimer is kind of struggling. Lancey, does he have a look down to the inside in the Copse? It's less than a 1/10. No, he's going to back out of it. All the while, Gott Palmer, oh, I tell you what, Gott Palmer, has he had a better go through Copse? I think he may have. Lancey has to take defensive maneuver then. Cynical, a second behind this battle, nearly. Oh, what's going to happen here? Gott Palmer, I think, is going to have better acceleration. Down the hangar straight they go. You can see Reimer doing his best to break the toe, and again he's done that, and he's held off Lancey for another lap. It's going to be 5 laps to go this time by. Again, Palmer and Lancey really biding their time, displaying their patience, their discipline, because I think both of them had plenty of opportunities to get around one or the other. Reimer all the while. Now, it has to be said in racing, when you get to this point in the race, you just simply don't look in the rearview mirror. Reimer, it has to be said, has had a flawless couple of laps here, has yet to really make a noticeable mistake. It's a brilliant driving display from everybody in the top 5. Lancey again looking down to the inside, not enough to make it happen. Palmer right up against the Mercedes here. Again, Lancey looking to make it 4 wins in a row. If he wins today, I definitely think he's earned it more than the one at Coda, because Lancey's been on the back foot all day. It has been no doubt that this has been not one of Lancey's better races. From the qualifying result, that I think he could have had pole, started P9, has himself second at the moment. I think if he does win today, he will have fully earned it. And now he's 0.2 seconds. Lancey's going to check to the left side. And finally, Lancey, I think, is going to have the spot. Yes, he does. He battled with Reimer for the better part of 10 laps. And finally, Lancey is able to take the lead of the Grand Prix with 4 laps to go remaining. Reimer, you have to feel for him. He did everything he could, and he really didn't lose that position on mistake. Reimer put up one hell of a fight to Lancey. No, by the way, he still has 4 laps to make it happen. Cynical 0.4 seconds behind Palmer. Gasboy trying to poke his head back into this battle as well, although I think he's a little bit too far behind. Palmer's got to get past Reimer here if he wants any shot. I mean, I know he's got 3 seconds of penalty, and maybe that's why he's trying not to be so aggressive, but he had several opportunities to overtake Lancey. Oh, and Reimer's gone wide then. That, I think, is going to open the door for Palmer. Cynical is losing time here. I think Cynical has a better Sector 1, but through Sector 2, I think, is where he's struggling, because right here, you can see he's now behind 0.7 seconds to Palmer, who Palmer now, less than a 1/10. Is he going to try to overtake Reimer here? I tell you what, Reimer's still in position to get around Lancey. I know he's not as close as he wants to be, but he still has time, and there goes Palmer to the right side, through Vale, and Palmer gets Reimer. And that was a very gutsy maneuver there, to go into Vale and try to outbrake him. Really gutsy maneuver, and well done to Palmer. 3 laps to go, 2/3 seconds behind Lancey. Also has 3 seconds of penalty. At this rate, he'll fall behind, I think, to P4. And now here comes Palmer to the left side. And you have to think, if Palmer doesn't have that 3 seconds of penalty, I think he's definitely got enough pace to walk away with this win. But now, does that make the door open for Reimer? And oh, Cynical's in this as well. We're really getting towards the death. Lancey hasn't got to try too hard. He's just got to keep it clean. Reimer's got to do the same, but Reimer has to push, and Cynical has to push as well. Because I think really, everybody from Lancey, Reimer, and Cynical have potential to win this Grand Prix. It's going to be a matter of who takes their chances. With DRS now, Cynical very close to Reimer. There goes Lancey, had a peek at the inside of Palmer, didn't really have a chance. How much does Palmer play an influence on this in backing up Lancey to where he could get overtaken by either of the two drivers immediately behind him? 2 laps to go now. As Palmer, at this point in time, I think really, is he going to be hoping for Lancey to make the mistake and pick up the penalty? I think now that's kind of where he's at. Because he's not going to get out ahead 3 seconds. I think that is well out of the picture. But if Lancey does make the mistake and it gets the 3-second penalty, that will spell the end of his chance to win. And I think that's what Palmer's hoping for here. But it has to be said, Lancey has made very little to no mistakes all day long. And yet again, getting close to the Ferrari, but not close enough to really make a move. Reimer really under pressure from Cynical. Mind you, this is for what will eventually be the the second spot. So we have a yellow flag. I think something has happened with Osmanian Devil and Mini. Meanwhile, I believe Monkey Mafia under pressure from Soraya Coleslaw. 0.3 of a second the gap here, lap and a half to go. 0.2 of a second. Does Lancey make a mistake that results in a penalty? That's going to be the question on everybody's mind here. As we're about to round out the penultimate lap. There goes Lancey down to the inside. Does Reimer have enough to also poke his head? Reimer was just about 100 meters shy of being able to overtake Palmer, and now Palmer is in the way of Reimer, and that is going to be a huge problem for the Alpine here, as he's really still in position to try to win, but with the Ferrari in the way, and Cynical, I tell you what, not seeming like a factor here, as we enter the final lap of the Grand Prix. Oh man, I tell you what, I'm just wondering what's gone wrong for Cynical, because he's been in position the whole time. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay, that's the AlphaTauri getting out of the way. The penultimate DRS zone here, what happens? Palmer is too far away to overtake Lancey at this rate, and Reimer 0.2 of a second behind. All eyes are on Lancey. Does he make a mistake? Does he go wide of track limits and picks up 3 seconds? That's going to be the question, because at the moment I think Palmer, that's going to be his only hope. That's going to be Reimer's only hope, really. And never a doubt from Lancey. He's held the exit of tops correctly very well, as Mini's gone off ahead. That's going through, what is this, Chapel. And now down the hanger straight for the final time. Reimer's not going to be in position to overtake Palmer. And so Lancey, you know, this was, if there was ever going to be a race for him to break this streak, it was going to be today. Everything was thrown against him by his own faults or by fault of others, but he's overcome the odds. Back to back to back to back wins for Lancey. He takes the win here in the UK at Silverstone. Reimer, I really feel, could have won this race. He'll have to settle for second. Cynical will finish third, with penalties applied to Gott Palmer, who drops down to fourth. Looks like Fireballer will come home P6. Ray will be next up for P8. The two McLarens, not necessarily in unison, for P9 and 10. As Pingolo has 3 seconds of penalty. Lancey, driver of the day, up 8 spots, taking the win in the progress as Gasboy retires. What's happened with Gasboy? Has he retired in the pits? Odd. So after it's all said and done here in a very competitive yet rather tame British Grand Prix, it's Lancey taking his 4th win of the season, all back-to-back. Reimer 2nd, Cynical 3rd, 4th is Palmer, 5th Fireballer, 6th is Slayer, 7th Ray, 8th is Gab, 9th Pingolo, 10th Mazdaguy, 11th Shirai Coleslaw, 12th is Monkey Mafia, 13th Casboy, 14th Osmanian Devil Mini, 15th, and Beamer unfortunately did not finish the Grand Prix. And next time out we head to the Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne, Australia for the 5th round of the Monkey Mafia Esports League. Hotspot's been a pleasure joining you once again this time out. We'll see you next week when we head down under for the 5th round of the season.